in today's tutorial, I'll be showing you how to make this bobble sleeve dress. It's a fun project that's worked from the top down. The yarn that I'm using for this tutorial is Brava Sport weight yarn, and the color I'm using is Tidepool. And I'm using a G plus hook, which is a 4.5 millimeter, and this is my alpha hook from Furls Crochet. The collar on this dress is a slip stitch collar that's nice and stretchy. So we're going to begin with a slip knot, put that on the hook, and we're going to chain out 9. In the second chain from the hook, we're going to work a slip stitch. So pull through and pull through the loop on your hook. Go through the next chain, pulling up a loop and pulling it through the loop on your hook. And work slip stitches all the way across. Okay, and when you get to the end, you're going to chain 1 and turn. You should have 8 stitches. And now we're going to work in the front loops only, so you're still working slip stitches. But we're just going to work through the front loop of every stitch for a total of 8 stitches. And you just want to make sure you keep your slip stitches fairly loose. You don't want them too tight or they'll be hard to work into. And you're just going to continue in this manner, working rows until you have a total of 92 rows for the small size dress. And this is what it should look like when it's completed. Okay, it's nice and stretchy. Now what we're going to do, so you have the 92, is we want to join up the band. So we're going to go through the back loop and the first loop there of the chain. Whoops. And we're just going to slip stitch them together. Okay, so just work all the way across. Okay, so I've slip stitched across, and now I'm going to just flip this so that the seam now is on the inside. Okay, now what you're going to do is chain 1 and work a single crochet into every row around. So you're going to have a total of 92 stitches. Working all the way around. So when you've worked all the way around, we're going to slip stitch into the first single crochet to join. And now I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. Okay, we're going to want to work on the wrong side when we are working our bobble stitches. Okay, so we're going to want some stitch markers at this point to use as we work around. And in the first stitch, we're going to work 2 single crochet. In the next stitch, we're going to work a bobble. So yarn over, go through, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go back through the stitch, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go back through the stitch, pulling up a loop, pull through 2. Then we're going to yarn over, pull through all 4. then we're going to work a single crochet into the next stitch and a bobble in the next. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, back through the same stitch, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through all 4, and single crochet in the next stitch. So we're going to just be alternating between bobbles and single crochets, working across a total of 19 stitches. Okay, so I'm going to keep working across, and I'll meet you up when I get across 19 stitches. Okay, so you can count across by 2s, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So there's 19. And in the next stitch, we're going to work We're going to work 3 single crochet, and then in the center, single crochet, we're going to add a stitch marker. Okay, now we're going to work extended single crochets across, and we're going to work across 25. 1, 2, and now to do your extended single crochet, you're going through, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Go through, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so I'm going to do a total of 25, and then I'll meet you up again. Okay, so I've worked across 25, and in the next stitch, I'm going to work 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, and then I will add the stitch marker in the center. And now we're to the sleeve section, so we're doing bobbles again. So I'm going to work a single crochet in the first, and then a bobble. So yarn over, go through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and then yarn over, pulling through all 4. Single crocheting in the next. So we're alternating bobbles and single crochets across 19 stitches. Okay, so I'll work that, and then I will meet you up. Okay, so again, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So finishing with the 19, a single crochet in the last, and then we'll work 3 single crochet in the next, and I will add a marker again in the center of those. Okay, so you then work across 25 extended single crochet, and you should have 1 stitch remaining. And in that final stitch, we're adding 2 single crochet. Okay, so we added an extra stitch to the first stitch, and then 2 in the last works here as our other increase. So we have 4 increases in total. So we'll slip stitch in the first to join. Okay, and I'm just going to tell you a really great tip that you want to use a couple extra stitch markers, and I'll tell you. Okay, so in total, you're going to want to be using 5 stitch markers. So let me just remove that. So here's our first stitch. We're going to have a marker in the first stitch. and you're gonna have a marker in the last stitch. Because we're turning rounds, it's so easy to miss a stitch or not work into the correct one and get your stitch count off. By doing this, I found, especially when we get up into larger numbers, I didn't have to keep counting because I knew that I was working into the right stitches. So when you slip stitch, we're going into that one with the marker. Okay, I'm gonna chain one and turn. Okay, so now I'm on to the right side of my work. Okay, so I just removed the stitch marker, but I know which stitch I'm working into, so I'm gonna work 2 single crochet in that first stitch, and now I'll work extended single crochets across to the marker, and I'm just gonna stick my marker back into that first stitch. So you should be working across 27 extended single crochets. Okay, when you get to the marker, you can just remove it and add 3 single crochet. And place the marker back in the second single crochet in the center. Okay, and now we're going to work across this section, and you should have 21 stitches. Extended single crochets. Okay, so I've worked across to the marker, 21, and you can just remove the marker, and we're adding 3 single crochets. Place the marker back in the center. And now we'll work across 27 extended single crochet stitches to the next marker. Okay, so I've removed that marker, and we're going to add our 3 single crochet. And then you can add the marker back into the center of those 3, so the second single crochet. Okay, and now we're going to work across in extended single crochet stitches. There should be a total of 21. Okay, so I'm working across here. I'm to 19. Here is 20. And then our marked stitch is going to be the 21st stitch. I'm just going to remove the marker, add an extended, and then we need to add that extra single crochet here. We started with 2 single crochet, we're ending with 1, and then that is our other increase. Okay, and again, you can put the marker back in that stitch just so we keep it marked. And that's really gonna make things a lot easier when you're turning these rounds. So slip stitch to join, chain 1, and we're turning our work, and then we know that this is the stitch right here we're going to start working into. Okay, so that first stitch, let's remove that marker. We're going to add 2 single crochet. We're going to add the marker in the first stitch. Okay, and now we're back to our bobbles. Okay, so we're going to work a bobble in the next stitch. a single crochet in the next stitch. And we're just going to repeat that all the way across to the marker. Then when we get to the mark stitch, we're going to remove that, add 3 single crochet, add the stitch marker back in the center, and now you should be working across 29 extended single crochet stitches. So you're working that across to the next marker. Okay, and then when you get to the next marker, we're going to add 3 single crochet, add the marker. We'll work 1 single crochet in the next stitch, a bobble in the next, single crochet in the next, bobble in the next, and we're repeating that across. And when you get to the next marker, we're going to add 3 single crochet in that marker and add the marker back into the center. Now work across an extended single crochet. So I've worked across 29. I've got 1 final stitch here, and we're going to add 2 single crochet into that stitch. Then you can slip stitch to join, chain 1, make sure you mark that just so you know which stitch you're working into. You're going to turn. Okay, we're back to the right side now of our work. And now round 5 is just a repeat of round 3. But okay, so you're going to work 2 singles in that first stitch. And you can add your marker. Now you'll work across extended single crochet, and you should have 31. Okay, and you work across the marker, move the marker, and add 3 single crochet stitches. Put your marker back. Okay, and now you're going to work across. You should be working across 25 extended singles. So you're just going to continue around in this manner. At the markers, you're just going to be adding your 3 single crochet and just work around, and I'll meet you at the end to make sure your stitch count is good. Okay, so far I've worked over 24 stitches. Got 1 stitch remaining here, and it's marked. So on round 3, I did show an extended and then a single, but just to keep things simple, I'm just going to add 2 single crochet in the final. And I'll make a note on the video of that for round 3. So just add your 2 single crochet in that final stitch. I'm going to mark that last stitch with the marker and slip stitch to join. Okay, so now what you're going to do for rounds 6 through 23, you're just going to be repeating round 4 and 5. So you want to get up to round 23, and then I'm going to meet you up and we're going to split the arms and the body. Okay, so I'm finishing off here working on the right side, and I finished where I have 61 stitches for my sleeve, and I have 67 for my front body and back body section. So 61 stitches for each sleeve, and then 67 and 67. So I have a total of 23 rounds, and that includes that first round of single crochet we worked around our collar. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn because we're going to get back to the wrong side, but what we're going to do now is we're skipping over the sleeve section. We're going to work a extended single crochet in the first stitch. Now we're going to chain 6. We want to skip over all of this bobble section. Here's the marker that marks the sleeve. We're going to work an extended, I'm going to skip over the marker, an extended single crochet in the next. And then work extended single crochets all the way across. So you should have a total of 69 across this section. Okay, and now once you get to the marker, we're going to chain 6. And we're going to go to the other side of this marker, again on the wrong side. And we want to work across 68 extended single crochet because we already started with the 1. Okay, so I'm ending here with 69 stitches. So we have that 1 extra stitch that I started with. We're going to slip stitch here to join. And we're going to eliminate that on the way back around so that everything works out evenly. I just wanted to start with that 1 stitch for slip stitching to join. So on the way back, we'll make sure we do a decrease so that there's only 6 stitches here. Okay, so now we're going to work back around. So we're going to work 69 stitches, and then we're going to get to that chain 6, and we'll work across the chain 6 and all the way around. Okay, so I worked across 69, so now we need to work 6 across the chain here. It's kind of tight to get into that first one there. Okay, so I've worked across 6, and now we're going to work across 69 stitches again. Okay, so I've worked across 69, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work across the chain. So we have the 6 stitches, but we're going to decrease the last here. So 1, 4, 5, and then this decrease, so we get that stitch eliminated. Slip stitch to join, chain 1 and turn. Okay, so now that we've worked across all the chains, we're now just working 150 stitches all the way around in extended singles. And we're just turning after every round, going back and forth. And basically at this point, you can continue making the dress really as long as you want. You can try on as you go. Okay, so I've been working away on my dress off camera, and I've worked up a total of 69 rounds for the length that I want for my dress. Again, you can try your dress on as you go. We're going to be adding a band to the bottom, so you are going to have some extra length there, but you just want to keep trying it on and getting a good length for yourself. So I did a total of 69. So with the 23 I started with, for the small size, I have a total of 92 rounds. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is add a join as you go band to the bottom of the dress. I'm gonna begin by chaining out 11. Okay, and then you'll work in the second chain from the hook, and I'm gonna work single crochets for this band. If I were to work slip stitches, I think it may pull in the bottom band a little bit too tight. So I'm gonna stick with a single crochet for the bottom of the dress. Now for our sleeve cuffs, we're gonna do slip stitches like we did the collar, because I really want those sleeves to pull in tight. But for the bottom of the dress, I'm gonna stick with a single crochet in the back loop only band. So you wanna work down that you have 10 stitches. So I just like to kind of count them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9 and 10. Okay, so now you can see the stitch marker is marking the first stitch. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to skip over that stitch. We're going to slip stitch into the next stitch and the next stitch. Then I will turn my work, and I'm going to work in the back loops only up the band. So there's 1, 2, 3, and just continue up 10 stitches. Okay, I've worked up 10 stitches, so now I'll chain 1 and turn to begin working back down. And again, 10 stitches, 1, all in the back loop. So the entire band, single crochets in the back loop only. And I really do like to count as I go just to make sure I don't lose a stitch. And then when you get down, we're going to slip stitch into the next 2. Slip stitch and slip stitch, turn, working back up 10 stitches. So we're just repeating those rows 2 and 3, okay, throughout. And you're going to do that across the entire bottom of the dress. So this is all there is to it. And if you're unsure of what stitch to work into, I always just count down sometimes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's the first stitch. We're just working in the back loops. It's a really simple join as you go band. And I'm going to just give it a little measure for you just so you can see how much length that's going to add to the bottom of your dress. So as you can see, you're getting about an additional 2 inches. So I'm going to, just before I move on to showing you how to work the sleeves, I'm going to show you what the total length of my dress is. Again, we're all different heights, so this is really easy to customize, especially when you can try a top down on as you go. Makes it really easy to customize the length. Okay, so if I go from, let's go from first from the underarm down. It is about 21.5. Like, this is without blocking or anything. So 21.5. So if I took, let's say, the top of the shoulder, go from the top of the shoulder all the way down, and I'm just gonna see. So if you measure on yourself, so that's about it's about 30.5 to 31 inches. So if you take a measuring tape on your shoulder and measure it down, it'll give you an idea of where this dress is going to come to. So now let's take a look at the sleeve. Okay, so when I ended with my sleeve here, my final round was 61 stitches with my bobbles. Now I need to add on for my increase 2 stitches on this side and 2 stitches on this side. So I have a total of 65 stitches going around for this size, plus I have my 6-stitch chain. So my total sleeve is going to be 71 stitches. Now I also know that I ended on my right side, so I need to start on the wrong side. And I really want the sleeve join to be in the center of the underarm. So I am going to join in here, wrong side facing, because it is a bobble round. We want to complete the bobbles as we go. So few things we have to remember is we're working every other stitch as a bobble. We want to have 71 stitches when we complete this. So this actually is marking my last stitch, and then I should have 3 along here. I should have 3 along here, and then I can see the stitches that I'm starting to work into. So this would be stitch 1, this would be stitch 65, and then I want to have 6 stitches along this area here. Okay, so let's see how we're going to do this. So wrong side facing, I'm going to join in my yarn. And our first stitch, so if you were counting across your chain, this would be the 4th chain that I'm joining into. So now my first stitch is going to be a single crochet, and my next stitch is going to be a bobble. So yarn over, go through, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. And then my next stitch is going to be a single crochet. And now, as you can see, the next stitch, I've done 3, is going to be a bobble in that first stitch. And then a single crochet in the next, bobble in the next, and a single crochet. Okay, and now I am just going to work around the sleeve in this manner, and when I get over here to this marked stitch, I'm going to meet you up again. Okay, so I've worked all the way around the sleeve. I'm ending with a single crochet. I'm going to slip stitch into the first stitch to join. I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to continue to mark my stitches when I'm working the sleeve as well, so I don't miss a stitch. Okay, so there's that stitch, and I'm just going to grab another marker to have on hand. So now what we're going to do is turn, and we're working back. Okay, so there, you see here, that's the slip stitch. That's the last stitch right there, just so you can see for sure what stitches you're working into. So you're slip stitching, chain 1 and turn, So there we know this is the stitch we're working into. So I've worked an extended single crochet. Now I'm going to mark that stitch. And we're going to just work extended single crochets into every stitch around. Now you can count, it might be a good idea to count for this round. You should have 71 stitches for this size, small size pattern. But now you know you're going to be ending over here in this stitch. These are all marked so that you can stay on track. And I did find it really helpful working through the body so that I didn't lose any stitches. Sometimes it just can be a little tricky when you're turning those rounds. So now what you're going to do is just work. I'm going to keep the sleeve nice and big. I want a nice puff style sleeve. So I am just going to continue working it until I get to the length that I need. And this, again, you can try on as you go. And then to finish it off, I'm just going to be adding the slip stitch ribbing. Okay, so I've been working away on my sleeve. And in total, I've worked 12 rows of bobbles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 rounds, I should say, rounds of bobbles. And now we're going to start doing some decreases. I want my sleeve to not be quite so wide as we move down the sleeve. And here I've already done this side and done the nice slip stitch cuff. So what we're going to do, it's really simple. Just get in position. So on the extended single crochet round is the round that we will decrease because that makes it the easiest. So what we'll do is we'll decrease the first 2 and the last 2 stitches. And we're going to decrease the sleeve all the way down to 55 stitches in total. So you're just going to go through the stitch, pulling up a loop, go through the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So you just work all the way around. And if you want to keep marking the stitches, I do find it really helpful if you mark your first and last stitch, just so you keep track as you go, that you don't get off track. So just work all the way around in extended single crochets, and then when you get to the last 2 stitches, we'll do another decrease. Okay, so I've worked around, just caught here. So here's my last stitch with the marker. I have a stitch here, so now we're just going to do another extended decrease. Okay, so I can remove that. Stick it into my last stitch. I know it seems fiddly with all the markers, but it really does help. Okay, then I will slip stitch to join, chain 1 and turn. And then I'm back to my puff or bobble round. So we just work a single bobble, and just work that all the way around. Okay, and now, so what you're doing is continuing decreasing until you're down to 55 stitches. And if you count, I counted up from the underarm how many bobble rounds in total I had, and it is 20. Okay, so you're gonna want to continue working those until you're down to 55, and then I'm gonna meet you up and we'll go over how to add the cuff. And I still need to seam this one up, but it actually brings in that you have a nice tight cuff, which is really nice. So I'm going to work these rounds off camera, and then when I get them complete, I'll meet you back up again. Okay, so I've finished working all my rounds. So I count down my puffs. I have 20. I'm going to chain 1 and turn. And now for my final round, I'm going to just work single crochets instead of extended. So I'll work around singles, and you should have a total of 55 stitches. Okay, so once you get all the way around, we'll slip stitch to join. And now what we're going to do is chain out 11. And we're going to work back slip stitches along the chain. And just make sure not to do those too tight so that it makes it a little easier to work into. So you're going to slip stitch across so that you have 10 stitches. And now we'll skip this stitch right here, and you'll slip stitch into the next 2 along the base of the sleeve. Then you'll turn. We're going to work back up this in the front loops only. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So here's the first one. And you're slip stitching. All the way across. This is going to take a little bit of time to do this. You're basically just going to work back and forth, joining this to the base, the edge. So you just want to turn and then keep working slip stitches in the front loops only. You can turn to see the stitch here, and we're just working in the front loop. And once we're back down, you're going to look along here at your edge, and you're going to slip stitch across 1 and again 2. Turn, work back up, work back down, and just keep doing this all the way around until you've completed the cuff ribbing. So here, once you get all the way around, what you're going to do is just sew together. So I'm going to get my yarn needle, and this is the way you finish off the band on the bottom of the dress as well. I'm going to put right sides facing here, lining them up so that the seam is worked to the inside. Okay, so we're just going to go through and just whip stitch this together. So this is how you will do both sleeve cuffs and also the band at the bottom of the dress. Okay, and then you can just weave in. Make sure the top is just secured well, and then you can just weave that end in and give it a trim.